What is good, hunters? Welcome back to another video. In this video I want to talk about callers. There seems to be some confusion as to how they work, why they don't work, and I think we can clarify a lot of things in this video. A lot of people are mistaking certain things for bugs, which really it isn't. There's just a lack of knowledge as to how these things work, and that's okay, because we're all here to learn. We're all trying to figure things out, because a lot of this stuff is not really clear. So let's get into it. How do we use callers? So when you encounter a herd or an animal that you want to call in, and you activate your caller of choice, you'll see at the bottom there's a white bar with a little triangle. Now the way these callers work is that they work sort of in a rhythm or loop. So they go from the first triangle, which is the white triangle that I have here for illustration purposes. They go from the white triangle to the red to the gray. And every instance you have to wait until you get to that other instance. Example, at the white arrow, when you first activate your caller, when you make your first call, you have to wait until the arrow travels and get to the red triangle. Now, where those two vertical bars or lines that I put there, that is basically the sweet spot. That's where you're going to make your second call. You don't want to make it outside of those vertical lines, because you will mess up the rhythm of the call. So you want to always try and activate the second call within that sweet spot. This will, I won't say guarantee, but it will give you a more successful chance of calling that animal in even closer to you. Because what will happen is, if you call outside of those vertical lines, you're going to mess up the rhythm, and the animal will lose interest, and they will turn away and they'll run away. And you don't want that. So you want to hit that sweet spot, and then basically the arrow is going to do like a rundown until the end, until it gets to the gray triangle. And that is the loop. So it's really being patient and understanding that you have to wait between calls and activate them successfully at certain points to get the right response from the animal. So I think what's really causing the confusion is that sometimes the callers won't work, because really the way they're designed is that they're not designed to work 100% of the time. So let's talk about range. The new range for these callers are 250 meters. So it's pretty awesome. The last patch, they made that range bigger. So now you can sit from a comfortable distance and call in your animal with ease. Again, these callers won't work 100% of the time, and there are many reasons for it, but the main reason that I'm going to explain here is something that's really out of your control. And most players don't really know it's happening, but from my experience, this is what I've realized is happening. The thing is, when you're approaching a herd or an animal, when you get within a certain range, the animal briefly goes into an alert status. It recognizes that you're there. But you won't necessarily get a call, you won't see no bubbles, you won't see any kind of evidence from the animal. In most cases, you don't even know the animal is there. So as you're approaching, I believe that is in place, that if you are walking too fast or you're running, when they go into that short, brief alert status, if you're caught running, they're going to spook. But if you're casually walking, there's a high chance you won't spook them. And when that alert status goes away, then you're going to hear that bubble. You're going to hear the sound. You're going to hear the call, as if, knowing that the animal is there. So at that point, when they are in that alert status, if you use the caller, they won't respond. And again, this is something that's hidden. You don't really see happening unless you really pay attention, or you see an animal in the open and you have your binoculars on them and you really pay attention. It's one of those things you probably will never know or never come across. So it's good to know that depending on the status of the animal, they may not respond to your call. Sometimes you spook them and they run off. If you go and try to use your caller, you gotta kind of wait for a little bit, because depending on their status, they won't respond to it. Another thing to keep in mind is the wind direction. Depending on the wind direction, if the animal is coming into you, walking towards you, depending on the wind direction, they may only come a certain distance and turn away. So you really want to, ideal, you want the wind coming in your direction, but if for some reason it's on a slant or it's going, kind of left to right or right to left at an angle, you really want to pay attention to how far the animal come or walk up to you, because there's a chance that they may walk into that wind and they might smell you and they'll turn away. So that's something you also need to keep in mind. Now, depending on your stance, from what I've noticed, that also, will dictate how close the animal comes to you. Now, if you're prone, the animal will pretty much walk up, I would say maybe within 10 meters, 10-15 meters of you. I don't hunt prone, so I don't really know. I cannot, be sure of that. I just basically use crouch. And in my crouch, I get maybe they come in within 20 meters and they turn away. So that's from my experience. So again, you want to make sure that your stance is suited to however you want the animal to respond. If you want them a lot closer, go prone. If you don't mind the 20 yards or 15 yards, you can stay crouch. And that's it, guys. That's really what these collars are about. They're very simple to use. It's just patience, and hopefully it clears up a lot of misunderstanding, because I think players don't really realize that these collars are not designed to 100% get these animals' reaction. And I think it's great. I think it's awesome. It adds a bit of randomness, a little bit of realism to the hunt, kind of encourages you to be a bit more patient, and it's awesome. So let me know what you think. What's your experience like with these collars, and hopefully it has cleared up any kind of confusion. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next video.